Yes, I can hear you.
Hey,
There we go.
Hi.
okay, Alyssa. I understand
How
you're
are you?
Team H3. That's fantastic to hear.
Woo!
So, as I understand it, you were there on the fateful day that Harambe left this dear planet Earth. Is that correct?
I was. Such a crazy summer day. I remember it like it was 2016.
And so, what was your job at the zoo? What city did this take place in?
So it's in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was a university student, and I was part of the fun department, is what they called it. So basically, I helped run the train, the carousel. I also worked the parking lots, the ticket booth, scanning people in, and various other things like that.
And
So
so,
that day I was working in the ticket office, and that's where we keep all the radios. And so it just like suddenly went insane that day with all the news and everything going on.
so when did you first learn about what happened to Harambe?
Well, I was in the ticket booth office where all the security stuff is, the radios, and you just heard people screaming and call 911, call 911. And it was actually one of my coworkers who was walking by and saw the incident happen. And so they rushed all the people into like the reptile house and various different areas, secluded areas, so they could get the fire department and stuff. And the funniest part was we had the zoo shut down. Everything was totally turned off. The fire department was there, everything. And people were still coming to the window. How much is for 3 people, 2 children?
That is funny.
I'm like, I'm sorry, we are closed right now. And they're like, well, how much longer? How long is it going to take? And I was like, I don't know. So they literally waited in a little bench outside my window for me to open back up.
Did you explain? Did you explain what happened to them? Like, hey, a baby fell in the gorilla cage and we killed the fucking gorilla.
No, we were trying to like keep it calm, obviously, and everything was so chaos. So we didn't have like talking points in the first seconds, you know. But the best part is like a day later, I was working the scanning where like once you come to the zoo, you have to scan in your pass and stuff. Excuse me. A little GERD.
Sound like me.
And I drank. And so I was scanning people in, and this little boy was like, what happened to the gorilla? And the mom was like, oh, well, we do offer free Wi-Fi. You can find the code over there. Your mom can look it up and tell you all about it once you're in the zoo,
No, bad
right?
idea.
Oh my God.
And the little boy looked at his mom, and he was like, what happened to the gorilla, mommy? And she said, they shot him in the fucking head.
What? What is wrong with that lady? Did anyone...
He was barely walking. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And people were trying to sneak in with like a little pocket in their t-shirt, you know, and they had like their phone camera trying to record our like responses and stuff. It was insane.
Did anyone ask for a refund?
Oh, yes. That was the next part. We had the whole day on because we were stuck in the reptile house for 30 minutes. We had this traumatic experience happen, which I understand if you saw it, okay, but there's no way you could see or hear anything if you were in a certain point. But we did do the refunds and stuff. But I also used to work at Disney World in Florida, so this is like nothing. I've seen way too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of experience between those two jobs. Although I'm sure nothing could have prepared you for that day. What was the vibe like after Harambe had been released from his mortal shackles? Was the atmosphere there with the employees? Did they miss Harambe? Did you feel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They had like they offered free therapy sessions if workers needed therapy about it and stuff. They took it extremely extreme, you know. But then what happened? What was I gonna say?
Well, what happened with when it started getting memed on? How did the people at the zoo handle that?
Oh no! So I was actually getting trained like the next day to work in membership. And that's where we have a phone, and you can call and ask about our membership, and you have no idea how many calls we got. People were slapping their dicks on the phone, leaving voicemails, dicks out for Harambe and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
What's the slapping the dick thing?
Yeah, what?
Well, the meme was dicks out for Harambe, remember?
Oh, what the? Oh, Jesus.
We had like PETA was on like stalking our parking lot, and I think they like stayed in our parking lot for like 2 weeks or something. So we charged them because it's $10 a day to park. And it was crazy. People were always cussing and stuff. But outside of the gorilla exhibit, we have a little statue gorilla, and people thought that we put that there for Harambe. So there was like thousands of flowers there. All of a sudden,
it wasn't there for him.
No, it's been there for like the Cincinnati Zoo. I think is the second zoo in the United States, so it's like super old. But
wow, what a tragedy!
It was, yeah.
And what are you up to these days? That was a while ago now. What are we up to now?
Yeah, so I was traveling earlier this year to Argentina for a few months because I work online, so I just go around. And my flight was March 29th to go back to Florida because now I live in Orlando. And nope, I've been stuck in Argentina ever since. Oh, wow. And I'm still here. We're on day 182 of strict quarantine. There's nothing to do. They've been opening up some parks, but it's just insane. This is the city, so still no trains, no nothing. The grocery store is open, but you can only have one person at a time, like from each family member and things like that.
Well, you're safer there than in Florida, I'll tell you that.
That's what I've heard.
Well,
I did want to say, when I was at Disney World, I worked with the strollers, so we dealt with a lot of ECVs, or the electric scooters, as you love.
The Gatsby, Gatsby-esques, yes.
Oh my God, they're the craziest people. I love the videos you show because it's just
so there's truth to the meme. The people on the mobility scooters are wild as hell.
Oh, and Disney mobility scooter people.
Let me ask you this. Do you suspect that what % of the people on mobility scooters really need them?
10%.
10%. That's what I think too. I really do. I think no.
And it was really sad because for New Year's Eve, because I did that part at Epcot. And for New Year's Eve, Epcot is huge and stuff because you can travel around the world and drink. I mean, you've been, so you're aware. But
I have.
But you have to get there super early. The first 10 minutes of us opening, all of our scooters are gone. I don't know how many we have, 100 or something. They're all gone. And it's really sad because then the line is outside of even the entrance to scan your pass for more ECVs and wheelchairs and stuff, but we run out. So we have to start a list. And my boss was like, okay, Alyssa, I think you can handle fighting people. So I want you out there telling them we don't have any. And there was so many people where's your list? I want to speak to your manager. My father doesn't have a list.
I want to speak to your
manager.
And I was like,
they threw you to the Karens, man. Even worse.
Karen.
Well, you're a true warrior of the H3 Nation, and we appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for all you do in service of the humanity.
People in the chat love your voice, apparently. So
people in the chat love your voice. Have you heard that before?
What was that?
I said people in the chat love your voice. Have you heard that before?
I've heard a few people tell me that.
Interesting. Is that something you've worked? Is that something you've worked on, or is it just your natural a tannin?
No, I think it's just my natural the word you just said.
Yes.
I think that's why my manager put me on the front line so I could sweet talk to people.
Well, maybe I'll send you in to talk to James Charles. Would you be willing to do that for me?
Absolutely. Let's change his mind. I have a better smile than him, so let's do it. Just kidding. He's a really cool person too. But yeah, thank you so much. And I listen to every single podcast as soon as they come out because all I'm surrounded by is Spanish here, and I don't speak English. It's great to hear English.
We're clapping so loud I can't even hear you.
Thank you.
I'll join you.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless Harambe, and thank you for all you do in service of the world and the Fooper Trooper Nation.
Thank you. Can I give a shout out to my little sister? Can I give a shout out to my little sister who's a Marine? I don't get to see her anymore, but we watch the show together.
Oh. Shout out,
Rebecca.
Sister.
Megan?
Rebecca.
Thank you. God bless you. Stay safe, all right? Be good.
You too. Bye.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Hey, Zach? Did her voice do anything for you?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. When I was setting up the call, I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah, when I was setting it up, I'm like, oh,